I'm Kate, that's Jamie, and this is Two Dumb Bees.
Join us as we navigate the realms of the supernatural and unravel the quirks of pop culture.
Come scroll with us. We're going to be talking about the Lake Michigan Triangle. Hello, Dumb Bee besties. Welcome back. We are here.
We missed you.
Of course. We are going to get mysterious and spooky because 'tis the season.
My favorite season.
Lake Michigan has a lot of deaths associated with it, as well as many other mysteries. Lake Michigan has a lot of lore and death and mysteries and everything else associated with it. It is a very big body of water that has been used for a long time for transporting goods and stuff. So it almost has like ocean vibes, in my opinion. Especially like living on that lake and stuff. When you really see how big it is, like it looks like an ocean. If you've been to the ocean,
Right.
visually, it looks just as big because you can't see the other side of it, you know?
Right. You can't see across, and the waves, because of the way it's shaped and it's surrounded by land on all sides, the waves get really big. There are rip currents, which if you don't know what you're looking for can be really dangerous.
Yeah, it's no joke. It's not like going on your local lake. Lake Michigan continues to be the most deadly Great Lake, with fatal drownings being the most common. 2023 was an all-time low with 41 people drowning in Lake Michigan, while 2022 was closer to the usual with about 108 people.
Oh my gosh. Is that like all the way around, like, because it borders like Michigan and
Mhm.
Wisconsin,
Yep, it's just the
Chicago
lake
down
as
there?
itself. It looked like a lot of them were in Illinois, but we see it all the time too here in Michigan. We see them all summer long and into the winter too, which is it's so scary in the winter to be on that lake. There should be no reason that you're out there. I swear.
I would not go on a boat on Lake Michigan, like, period, probably. The
I don't
furthest
think
I
I would
went, I
either.
was in Chicago and I took the ferry across from like the aquarium to Navy Pier. But I
Yeah,
would not
when
just be out
people
boating.
no, it's scary. People hear the word lake and this I don't think is what they're picturing at all.
Right. It's the Michigan Sea. Imagine a small sea.
Yes, and it is technically classified, I think, as a sea because of its sea-like characteristics such as rolling waves, sustained winds, strong currents, great depths, and distant horizons. So, it categorically is a sea. Lake Michigan is the only one of the 5 North American Great Lakes located entirely in the United States, making it the largest body of fresh water in the United States. That's cool. And The lake is 321 miles, 517 kilometers long, north to south. It has a maximum width of 118 miles and a drainage basin of about 45,500 square miles. So it's really big. The water retention replacement time is 99 years, and I did not know what that meant. So I looked that up because what is that? And it means the retention time of the lake is the amount of time it takes for enough new water to replace all the lake's current water. And it would take about 99 years. So I thought that was a little fun fact.
For sure.
Yeah. And I wanted to give just a little reminder for anybody who plans on going and visiting the beautiful Lake Michigan that after Labor Day, there are no more lifeguards on duty. Keep that in mind. People drown all the time.
Water
My
looks
little
choppy. The waves are high. It's dangerous. Like, so
mhm.
dangerous. Don't let your kids in it. Kids die literally every year.
So now that we got our finger wagging out of the way and hopefully gave you a little context of how big the lake is and how these things that we're going to talk about maybe could happen and what makes them so mysterious. I mean, it's hard to know with a body of water this big.
Right. So, we are going to talk about some of Lake Michigan's secrets. This Lake Michigan Triangle stretches from, bear with me, Manitowoc, Wisconsin to Ludington to Benton Harbor, Michigan. So, a, a fairly big chunk of the lake. We are going to talk about just some spooky disappearances, some unexplained happenings. Well, one of them is explained, but the rest of them are in the unknown. And the earliest known incident I have is the disappearance of the sailing ship Lake Griffon and her entire crew on September 18th, 1679. The ship docked at La Grande Bay, known today as Green Bay. From there, they loaded up 12,000 pounds of fur and set sail for Lake Erie, but the ship would not ever be seen again. None of the crew or even broken up pieces of the ship have ever been found. It really seems like they vanished into thin air. Some speculate the ship fell victim to a vicious storm, and others theorized she may have been boarded by the Ottawans or the Potawatomis, and that they red rummed the crew and set her ablaze, which I guess could make sense because they burned it up, there might
Wait,
not
Lake
be.
Erie.
They set sail for Lake Erie from Green Bay. So they
Can
were
you get
like,
to Lake Erie from Lake Michigan?
well, if you go up through Lake Superior down around, they all touch, don't they?
Oh, I guess they do. Sorry. I'm sorry. I was so confused.
Which, regardless, if they touch or not, they don't make it. The last theory, though, the ship's builder, Rene Robert Cavalier, he was convinced that the captain and crew sank the ship and made off with the fur. I guess all of them seem pretty plausible, but no substantial evidence to prove any of that has ever been found. Gone.
Oh wow. Poof.
Next up, on May 21st, 1891, two schooners set sail from Chicago. They were the Thomas Hume and the Rouse Simmons, and they had dropped a shipment of lumber, and they were supposed to be on their way back to the Hackley Hume lumber mill in Muskegon, Michigan, when they encountered a squall. And a squall is like sudden violent gusts of wind or localized storm. It can mean both.
Oh.
After encountering the storm, the Rouse Simmons headed back to Chicago to wait it out. However, the Thomas Hume was like, F that, we're just gonna keep going.
Right.
The Thomas Hume and its 6 passengers were never seen again. The lumber mill sent out a search vessel and offered a $300 reward, but they were not able to find any trace of the Thomas Hume. It is widely believed that the ship sank in the storm, but others, including Charles Hackley, believes another boat collided with the schooner and they both sank, which I find that last theory a little unlikely. Like, in my opinion, they would have found some wreckage if they crashed, right?
I would think so.
Something.
Or like remnants.
Right. In 2006, a search team looking for a lost U.S. Navy aircraft actually located the missing ship. She was found almost completely intact, preserved by the icy cold waters in the depths of Lake Michigan, 150 feet below the surface. The Michigan Shipwreck Research Association concluded the Thomas Hume had succumbed to a storm because the ship was too intact to have been rammed into by another vessel. Still sus, in my opinion. You'd think if a storm had like done enough damage to sink the ship, there would have been obvious damage.
Yeah,
Unless
it's just
maybe it
like,
like just capsized, maybe it flipped it over
oh yeah, what
without
if the winds
actually.
were. Hmm. But
Now
what if it's
this,
like aliens?
I mean,
Just like zoink, all of them.
people do think that. Some people.
Bring them all up.
And
I'm
this
about to
one's
look on Reddit.
actually, this next one's pretty, this one's weird, okay? Because between 1875 and 1926, a ship named the Rosabelle, which was a 2-masted schooner used to transport materials to the House of David in Benton Harbor, Michigan, was found capsized not once, but 2 times. Dose.
I'm sorry, what?
It was found capsized twice in Lake Michigan, with the crew having disappeared both times. In the first incident in 1875, a car ferry found the schooner floating upside down. The 10-man crew was never found, no trace of them.
Oh.
They turned her over and towed her back to port in Milwaukee. And then in October of 1921, she was loaded up and ready to depart with a shipment of potatoes and lumber. And this is where it gets weird. The ship captain, Ed Johnson, straight up refused to get on board. His son later claimed that Ed had had like a premonition that a disaster was about to occur on the ship. The crew could not convince him to get on the ship, and so
Good.
they left without him. I don't know.
He got it right.
I don't think I would have went. I
No.
would have been turned off immediately. Like I'm gonna stay with him. The captain's not
Wasn't
getting on the
there
ship.
for that Ocean Gate thing? Wasn't that one kid like he didn't want to do it? He didn't want to do it, and they talked him into it, and then something bad happened. Like if I feel like if that's the vibe, don't go. I don't know.
Right. Right. Especially if someone's like freaking out about it. We've all seen Final Destination. I'd be interested to know what happened to Captain Ed after that.
Certainly. Hmm.
Anyway, so they leave without him, and a few days later, the Rosabelle was found capsized, again with no signs of the crew. And this time, the stern of the ship was also missing, which indicates a collision. However, the U.S. Coast Guard, which towed the ship to Racine Harbor, later determined there had been no collision. The stern was just missing, and that's like the front,
I was gonna say,
like
isn't that the
ramming
whole
piece
of
of
the
the
boat?
boat, right? So, how was the whole bit just gone? An
Alien
alien.
laser beams.
Yes, that. Oh, this one's creepy too. They're also creepy.
They are creepy.
This one was on April 28th, 1937. Captain George R. Donner was navigating his way from Erie, Pennsylvania, headed for Port Washington, Wisconsin. And the ship was a coal freighter named the O.M. McFarland, and it was carrying 9,800 tons of coal.
That's a lot of
That's a lot of,
coal.
yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's exactly what I was about to say. The captain had been on the bridge directing the ship through ice floes, which are like big sheets of ice that flow on top of the water.
Mm,
Once they had reached Lake Michigan and were clear of all of the ice, the captain retired to his cabin, instructing the crew to alert him when they neared their destination. 3 hours later, the second mate went to Donner's cabin to inform him that they were reaching the port, but the captain's cabin had been locked from the inside. The second mate searched the galley, thinking maybe Donner had gone after a snack, but he was not there either. After extensively searching the ship, the crew had decided to break down the door to Donner's cabin, but he wasn't in there.
what?
They said that he would have been too big to fit through the tiny portholes in his cabin,
That would have
and the
been my
crew.
first question.
Well, and the portholes, I guess, are made intentionally too small to fit a person out them.
Ah, no suicide here.
None of that. Um, but the crew also said that he did not show any signs of depression or suicide, so they did not think that he had
Right.
like thrown himself overboard. Local ports sent out ships to search for him, but he was never found. Dun dun dun.
That's
Which I
weird
guess
though that
maybe
his door
he.
was locked. That doesn't feel alieny to me. That feels like that guy did that on purpose or something though.
Right, because like, was it keyed and he had like a key for it from the outside, or could it only be locked and unlocked from the inside?
Yeah. Like what kind of lock was it?
Right, was it one of those like bar things that you would have to physically be in there to.
Yeah, because it's like an old timey ship. What does
Right.
locked mean? What does locked mean?
Right. I'm
Hmm.
assuming the bar thing, which makes it weirder.
Uh-huh. That is weird. So let us know what you think. You guys have any I mean, there's been a lot of UFO sightings on the Great Lakes, especially Lake Michigan. In that like little dip in the bottom in the southern part, there's a lot of UFO sightings.
I'm fairly certain I saw a UFO out here, but I be gardening, so I- maybe I didn't see it.
Right.
Anyway, lastly but not leastly, I am going to touch on flight 2501 because I did not touch on any other flights that disappeared.
Yes.
On the evening of June 23rd, 1950, the Northwest Orient flight carrying 55 passengers left LaGuardia Airport in New York and was headed for Minneapolis. A pre flight review did indicate possible thunderstorms and squalls, but nothing that was concerning to the crew or air traffic control. Part of the way there, Captain Robert Lynn did request to drop to 4,000 feet instead of his assigned 6,000 feet in order to avoid turbulence. After a second request, air traffic control did authorize for him to drop to 4,000. After severe turbulence caused a different plane to drop 500 feet, air traffic control instructed Lind to descend to 3,500 feet to avoid collision with the other plane. In an attempt to avoid storm activity, Lind and his co pilot decided to steer south, but ended up flying straight into a squall line, which was basically like a big wall of high winds.
Oh no.
Their last transmission at 11:13 p.m. was a request to descend again to 2,500 feet, likely to drop below the clouds for better visibility. But this request was denied by air traffic control because another plane was like just departing in the area. So he had to like stay put. Shortly after, and this is kind of where the aliens come into play. Shortly after, locals of Benton Harbor and South Haven reported hearing an explosion, although they did say with the storms and the thunder, they couldn't be sure that it was an explosion. But by midnight, air traffic control realized the plane was MIA. And the next day, the Coast Guard did find an oil slick in the water, debris, and body parts,
Oh.
but nothing larger than a hand. So they didn't find any substantial pieces of the plane or anything.
I will say when I was googling Lake Michigan deaths, there was a lot of just we found a random body part. So, sounds about right.
Well, and they say because there are so many shipwrecks and plane crashes and like so many unfound, presumably dead bodies, lots of stuff does tend to just like work its way up sometimes. Gross.
Yeah.
Ew, I swim in that. Anyway, authorities assume that the plane crashed into Lake Michigan. They don't know what exactly caused it to crash. The most commonly accepted theory is that the plane crashed due to weather and lack of visibility. Others think it was struck by lightning. However, there were no burn marks on any of the recovered debris, so eh. The conspiracy theorists say it was taken by a UFO, citing that police officers in the area saw red lights hovering above the lake for 2 hours after the plane disappeared.
Two
Allegedly.
hours. That's a long time.
Right.
That's a long time to get proof.
It couldn't have been a search helicopter.
Hmm.
I guess they would have known if a helicopter was out, like, looking for him, though, right?
Yeah, that's true. Hmm.
I don't know. It's all very suspicious.
It is. But you had said that there's some depths even in Lake Michigan that they can't like or haven't seen or whatever, right? So,
Yes, because there is another plane crash, and I did not add that one, but essentially they assume the plane crashed into the lake. Sonar scans of it originally revealed a 30-foot object. The first object they did get to explore, and they determined that it was a rock formation,
no,
which I wonder if that's the one, the creepy rock formation. We should talk about that.
we should. I also saw something about one on it like has like a buffalo or something on it or an elk or I don't know.
Oh yeah, there's like some what did they call it? A hunting cavern or hunting tunnel or
Something.
something.
Mhm.
Anyway, another sonar scan revealed a 30-foot object next to what they know is a old sunken ship, and I wonder if that's the one schooner they found.
Hmm.
But that's the one that the diver was only certified to 400 feet, and it was deeper. So I don't know exactly how deep Lake Michigan is. Let me find out. So it's what's 281 meters? I don't know because
921 feet.
holy crap.
That's deep.
Okay, yeah. Well, anyway,
Oh, I wonder what's all the way at the bottom of there. Do we have like a
prob-
Lake Michigan Kraken?
but there's some big old sturgeon down there.
Like the
Biggins.
world's biggest sturgeon. Looks like a dragon when it wakes up and shakes all the sand off of itself.
Dude, I don't know how people go scuba diving. What if you were down there and you just came up on some big 250-year-old sturgeon and it was so gigantic, I would have a heart attack right there under the water.
Can't do it. I don't. I'm so scared of all the things in the water. And now that I know that Lake Michigan is that deep, I'm terrified. It's just not for
Yeah.
me.
I'm not going past the sandbar. That's for sure.
Mm, no, I like it right up on the shore. I don't even need to like get in that far. I'm okay,
Just enough to scoop the rocks.
pretty much.
Maybe get a little E. coli. Who knows?
Right? Lakes are really good for that. If you guys are looking for some E. coli, hop in your local lake.
Yeah, because back when our when Lake Michigan beaches got closed, it wasn't just it was lakes inland all over Michigan were closed too for E. coli.
Yeah, I believe it. That was fun.
Yay!
I really liked that. I'm glad we decided to do this one. Let us know what else you guys are thinking. I mean, we kind of have a plan for some other ones, but we're very open to suggestions because we want to get spooky. So,
Spooky September and
so
October.
I was going to say this will come out in October.
Oh yeah,
That's why I
today's
was like, let's
September.
start. Yeah, it's the last day of September. So, but if you made it have you made it this car? Have you made it this far? I've barely made it, apparently. If you've made it this far, please like, comment, and subscribe.
Do all the things.
Yay!
Okay, bye.